So, ma'am, thanks for joining us today on Leadership Log, which is a podcast for the Air Force Lifecycle Management Center community on topics of interest. And the topic of interest today is learning about Honor Flight. Ma'am, if you could introduce yourself and give us a little background on Honor Flight.
Sure, be happy to. Hi there, everyone. Diana Pry. I'm the Deputy PEO for Fighters and Advanced Aircraft at Wright-Patterson Air Force Base. Honor Flight, wow. So Honor Flight started back in 2005 by a couple of gentlemen, that one being local to Ohio. He was a physician assistant who wanted to take his dad to Washington, D.C. to see the memorials. He was talking to one of his patients, happened to be a World War II veteran, and said, "Are you going to go visit your memorial that had just opened up in 2005?" And the World War II gentleman just kind of broke down and said, "No, I'm not able to go. I can't afford it. Don't have any way to get there." So this gentleman, along with another friend, grabbed up 12 veterans on 6 Cessnas, flew out to Washington, D.C., and Honor Flight was born. They took 12 World War II veterans to see the memorials and started this great organization that's now grown to be in over 40 states with different hubs, over 140 hubs across the country that take our veterans, not just World War II now, but World War II, Korean, and Vietnam veterans to Washington, D.C. for the day, free of charge, to see their memorials.
It's fantastic. I mean, it's such an inspirational program. How did you get to be involved in it yourself?
Well, so it all started with my, at the time, 16-year-old daughter. So it was about 10 years ago. She was a huge World War II buff. And we lived in Enon, Ohio, which if you go to Enon, Ohio, it says the birthplace of Honor Flight. And so she, had researched it and wanted to go on a flight. So she turned in an application, and they weren't really interested because she was 16 years old. Well, a good friend of ours was a World War II vet, and we talked to him about going on Honor Flight. And so he filled out his application. My daughter Rachel refilled out hers, and we asked for her to be the guardian, because we take guardians, basically folks to go along with our veterans, hang out with them during the day, make sure that they have everything they need. So as it worked out, she was picked to go as our friend's guardian, and she went on the trip. She actually had another World War II vet assigned to her, and they spent the full day going to see all the memorials. And actually she remained friends with the second vet long after the trip. So from there, she talked about how wonderful it was. And I actually had a friend that I worked with here at Wright-Pat who was the president of the local Honor Flight Dayton chapter. So we reached out to him and said, "Hey, let us, my daughter and I, start the Honor Flight Dayton Facebook page." And that's kind of how I became involved. And then I just started volunteering. And then after a couple of years, they said, "Hey, Diana, do you want to become part of the board?" So that's been about 8 years now. I've been part of the board. I go on all the trips, and it's just a really fulfilling way to volunteer and give back.
Yeah. So this is the first time. So we're talking specifically in Dayton. There is a return on the 27th, which is this Saturday.
Yes, sir.
And so this is the first time that you guys have physically went in a couple of years, right? Probably due to COVID, or?
It is, yeah. We shut down. We were all calling our veterans in January of 2020 when the pandemic really hit, and we had to cancel all our flights. Some of the Honor Flight chapters started back last year. We went a little bit more conservative. So yes, Honor Flight Dayton flies out this Saturday. I will be at the airport bright and early around 2:30 a.m. with our veterans showing up between 3:30 and 4 to get ready for their trip.
Okay. So do they go out and back in one day?
We do. It's a very long day. As I said, we have them get to the airport between 3:30 and 4, get them all checked in, feed them some food, get back in through security. And then we fly right into Reagan National there in DC. We're going to take about 102 veterans on this trip. We even have a 100-year-old World War II vet going with us. So we're really excited. We'll have 4 buses waiting for us when we get there. And then we'll go around and see all the memorials, feed all of us a couple times, and then fly back that night, landing at Dayton International around 9:15 Saturday night.
Okay. And so that's the big thing, is that you're trying to get as big of a crowd as you possibly can to greet them on their return back at Dayton Airport. So if somebody wants to be involved in that, how do they go about it? What do they need to know?
Yeah, so we are really hoping for a big crowd. As you know, our last flight 2.5 years ago, our crowds have grown from like 20 people up to probably 1,000. So
Wow.
a couple different options to welcome home our vets. So if folks want to go back to the gate and clap for them when they get off the plane, they really need to be at the airport and through security by 8 o'clock. So they need to get to the airport, go to American Airlines ticket counter, have a picture ID. American Airlines will give them a gate pass, and then TSA will let them through security. The one caution there is if they go back to the gate, they're going to be stuck back there with us. They have to follow the vets out. We don't want anybody sneaking out front in front of the veterans. And the reason for that is the other option for people is just to wait down by the ticket counter. There will probably be a whole ton of people down there. We'll have a lot of the JROTC, Civil Air Patrol, Young Marines. We'll have Air Force Band of Flight, small contingent down there. Lots of folks are going to be down there. They're going to get down there, starting at 8 o'clock, up until we come out. It takes us a while to unload the plane. So it'll probably be pretty close to 9:30 or 10 until we're out there. But we don't want the people that have been at the gate to rush out and then cut off those people that have been waiting out there. So anybody that goes to the gate, we're asking them to wait at the gate, follow the veterans out behind us. But again, if people don't want to get there and get a gate pass and go through security, they can just hang out there at the ticket counter area. They'll have a lot of folks out there directing traffic and telling folks where to stand. But we just want a large contingent to clap and cheer for all of our vets, bring American flags, bring signs saying welcome home. A lot of these guys didn't get that welcome home that they deserve.
Yeah, that's really great. Yeah, so they can bring, as long as you're not going through security, I guess you can bring flags and things like that, right?
Yeah, you can bring flags through security as well, as long as they're not pointy, like pointy Navy. But yeah, they can definitely bring flags. A lot of times to kill time back at the gate, folks will bring a lot of the Girl Scout troops and everything. They'll bring paper and pens and write letters to our vets. And they'll do posters. Bring poster board and markers, do the posters back at the gate to kill time. A lot of the military guys will have push-up contests. So I do want to bring up, if any of our military are coming, we would love it if they could wear their uniforms, not mandatory, but I tell you what we kind of like it to be is today's heroes welcoming yesterday's heroes. So our veterans just love seeing the military in the uniform and realizing that they've come to the airport just for them.
And what a great activity to do with your kids to sit down and draw up and design some posters and things like that. I mean, it's really teaching them about the heritage of veterans.
Yeah, it really is. And we get, like I said, a lot of the Girl Scout and Boy Scouts back there as well. A lot of the pets, I can't think of the name, but you know what I'm talking about, the hospital pets that come around and take care of us all. They'll be back there. Got a couple cats, a couple dogs. So it's just a really great opportunity to just say thank you. And it's so fun to be around that kind of energy that evening. And you got to think, we've been on this flight and been up since, in some cases, 2 a.m. I'll tell you, some of these guys, it's like Christmas. They never go to bed. And so we're all really tired. But that just really motivates us all when we get off the plane to hear that cheering.
Yeah. So like you said, this is not just in Dayton. I mean, this is all across the country. So people at other LCMC sites and other cities can be involved as well. If you've got like a family member or maybe a family friend or something like that who's an eligible veteran or you think might be an eligible veteran, how can they get involved to be in a future flight?
Definitely. So yeah, again, I mentioned there's about 140 hubs across 40 states. When you start going to those West Coast states, they'll probably stay the night, a couple nights in DC. But if you go to honorflight.org, that's the whole network. They kind of manage all of us. And then you can kind of drill down in there to see where the hubs might be closer to your loved one's veteran's location. If you are in the Dayton area, then go to honorflightdayton.org and get our specific applications. The applications are specific by sites. Every honor flight we're looking for veterans to take. That's most important. We're looking for guardians. Guardians pay their own way, but there's applications on all of our websites for that. And then we need volunteers because we can't make this happen without volunteers. I get to the airport around 2:30 in the morning on flight days. I have about 60 volunteers there that morning as well to help check in all our vets and get them ready for the trip. So if anybody wants to, do different things with Honor Flight, there's opportunities across the country to make that happen.
So that's great. So, I mean, there's ways to be involved, even if you don't want to, or if you can't afford maybe to pay for a flight yourself to be a guardian, but other ways to volunteer too.
Definitely. We have folks that call our vets to arrange for different meetings and maybe go on a float for a parade. We have folks in the morning, as I said, helping us to get ready. We have folks that will help drive our vets to the airport in the morning, for example, if they don't have a car and they don't have anybody that can get them there. And then we do a lot of fundraising activities where we need folks to man booths and just talk about what Honor Flight is and what it means to them.
It's a great way to practice your service before self.
Definitely. It's just a tremendous organization. The experience we give these veterans, they say it's kind of the best day of their lives, except for maybe when they got married and their kids were born. So it really means that much to them.
Yeah. So, ma'am, that pretty much brings us to the end of our time. Is there anything that I forgot to ask you about, or anything that you'd like to add or reiterate?
Yeah, so just the one thing I want to add is we talk about Honor Flight Dayton and the flights. We also have what we call our RVC, Recreation Vehicle Caravan. So some of our veterans don't like to fly. And so we have a handful of RVs. I think we have 7 going out this year on September 18th, if I have my days right. They'll spend 2 nights in DC, with that middle day being the day that they actually go visit the memorials. The vets will stay in hotels overnight. We don't make them sleep on the RV, but at least they get to travel and comfort on the RV. So, I encourage folks to go out to our Facebook page, it's just Honor Flight Dayton on Facebook. You can see when all our flights are. We have another flight going out October 15th this year, and then we'll of course have flights next year. So if anybody has any questions, the website's Honor Flight Network for the whole network across the country, honorflightdayton.org for Dayton, or our Facebook page. Lots of information out there that we can get you any answers that people may have.
That's great. So, ma'am, thanks for joining us today on Leadership Log and helping us understand Honor Flight and a great way to serve our veterans.
Well, thanks for your time. I really appreciate the support, and I hope to see lots of folks out at the airport Saturday night.
All right.